never going to end. This band needs no further promotion. Have you seen how popular they are online? Like, if you look at one of their music videos on YouTube, fuck millions of views. Maybe just by mentioning System of a Down in the title of this video, I'll get fuck thousands of views. I just find it interesting because it's inherently a non-mainstream genre, but there's something about the tenacity of the more mainstream side of the metal scene that just really goes for this stuff. A debut album is maybe a nascent version of their sound. It's the 90s, and the rules that System wrote for themselves are somewhat being written here. There's really not that many proximate sounds. Maybe another heavy LA band that they're a bit like a Tool. Tell me they're Los Angeles. Yeah, they're Los Angeles. Thanks. I'm doing the hand thing on purpose. Does that work? And here it's more sound than songs. This is still a very strong debut, definitely strong in the context of hard hitting. There's hints of their oddness, of their Armenianness, but they're going to be better applied later on. Consider this a prelude. Kind of hard going, but it's going to go up from here. And then I think this is the most celebrated one, and for good reason. Here the more melodic side of their sound is starting to emerge from the metallic swamp, and that makes every hit super effective. It's a better application of their political rage to make it something you can sing along to. Now the full character of System is visible, which is silly billies who are also serious burious. I've just done a video on Kate Bush, and I think there's a lot in common here with how the silly and the serious are woven together. Maybe in System it's more of an absolute delineation with two kinds of songs, but it's not like they made the silly ones as singles. If anything, the serious ones are the singles. So the silly isn't there to draw your interest in, and then they hit you with their political rhetoric. Each side is an equally honest expression. It's just one's got a more resounding impact, I suppose. The prison song even gives citations. Maybe they could have done with some citations on the song that's about science being less good than religion. Still a fucking good song though. So here's a full force System. I think this one is widely misinterpreted as a kind of oddities collection, and they've not helped by making the packaging so minimal. And it was recorded at the same time as that last one, so you can see how it can be filed as the rejects. Really, that's kind of what you're getting here, not quite to the extent of a follow down, okay, it's slightly down. Kind of here you've just got some reliable content that would have been a very apt bonus disc to Toxicity, but is worth paying for individually or stealing individually. Though it outdoes the debut in general quality, it's not got enough of its own extremes or highlights. There's not really individual songs that you'd miss if they weren't on a set list. But it's still another hearty dose. If I highlight that the next two albums are kind of a complementary pair that could be considered a double album, well, that's also true of the prior two albums. Whatever starts here, the one with the spine on the wrong side. And here System reached new heights, mostly in silliness, but also good bits in seriousness. They've got their best single on here. I'm pointing toward the top of the track list. Yeah, it's that one. You know it's that one. And the way that Darren has emerged as a second vocalist is just very satisfying. I'm really into dual vocal lines, harmonies. He's the primary songwriter, so he's earned it. He's just got this essential character of just being the parrot on Serge's shoulder. Without Serge, System would not work at all, and maybe Darren would prefer it to be a Charles Manson tribute act. But as long as Serge's earthy vocals are also there as an option, the loopy vocals of Darren are a brilliant complement. Here they've emerged with more variety, and the silliness is quite at the front. It's musically somewhat parodic. I've done a video about Sparks, there's some of the character of Sparks here. Even in the song structure, that's quite Sparksian. They're also Angelinos. I think maybe it's a fandom given that Toxicity is the best, but it's a Colin calculation that this one outdoes it. I'm gonna give myself another listen whilst I'm editing this, just to see if I truly mean it, and I can apologize and edit it out if not. Cool. Alright. Yeah, this is going here because it's just more exciting music to me. I feel there's more variety, like their earlier work is quite stuck in drop C. And the timing just really complements System. In the post 9/11 George W. Bush era, they took their place as court jesters, as Frank Zappas, as like Mad Magazine, or maybe the closest thing Bush had to a credible opposition. The album goes by quicker, and I do think parts of what Darren's voice brings isn't exactly for the better, but it all is on here. We'll get to that next. Because this one's quite obviously the follow down, the second disc, the B-side. There's still a lot of good material, but some of it tests the limits of what's reasonable for System. I'm not trying to police what they can do, it's just less appropriate for the sake of quality. You'll still enjoy it, it just does similar things to Mesmerize, but everything a bit less good. There's 3 tracks coming up to the end of it where they just seem to be taking the piss out of the idea that people will listen to whatever words they write. But then luckily, they top that off with a Serious Furious song, which is actually the last track in their album career thus far. There were eventually 2 more tracks in 2020, was it? I don't know if there'll be any further albums. They'd have to find a drummer. But this one's going here. And there's quite a lot more to hear from their fragmented careers as well. I wasn't quite the age to be into the nu metal craze when it was at school, nor did I communicate with people. But I noticed later how damn good these guys are, and it still sounds just as essential. If only more bands were as fun, self-aware, and as powerful as System of a Down.